again, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And after surviving the weekend of the Charlie Fest, which was half love fest, half hate fest, I mean, the fatigue is almost real now. I mean, I hate to say this, but I mean, good Lord, can we talk about something else? I mean, the beautification of this guy on the right is just outrageous. It's outlandish. This guy deserved to have what happened to him in front of his wife and kids? Absolutely not. Of course not. But I mean, this is like. I mean, I think his funeral is almost like a week or two away. He's going to lay in state somewhere. They had, the vice president picking him up. They had this whole big, you know, this big rally and all these vigils and all this other stuff going on. I mean, I'm just curious to see how long this lasts, because I don't think it'll last very long. White people don't have the attention spans. They don't have the wherewithal to continue this. We keep hearing that there's going to be an awakening, a reset. We saw 1 million people, or they say 1 million people, in England on Saturday, which was a wonderful thing to see, because they're sick of what's going on over there. They're sick of seeing all these sub-Saharans and these Middle Easterns and these Indians literally changing the face of their country. These Muslims praying in the street, the garbage and the just the way these cities are being destroyed by this vermin. It's got to stop. And finally, people are waking up. This guy Kirk and that poor Ukrainian girl. I mean, it's just more. It's more bricks in the wall that are piling up. But to say that this guy was an icon, he was a hero. Some people are even saying that he deserves a national holiday. I mean, listen, I'll take the day off, whatever. But let's just pump the brakes on this shit. Okay, he was a moderate. He was a milquetoast rhino. He was an Israeli sympathizer to the bone. He was accepting Israeli Jewish money to support Israel and to articulate their narrative. This guy wasn't an America First guy. He was an opportunist. Let's be honest. He was an opportunist, and I don't blame him. I mean, what did he get? $40 million just from the Jews? I mean, money's money. And now that he's gone, that wife of his, that blondie, she ain't gonna wait too long. She'll have an emotional support friend within 6 months to a year, and probably 2 years from now she'll get married, because she's a blonde with 40 million in the bank. She ain't gonna be single for long, believe me. But let's go to the issue at hand here. Over the weekend and on Sunday, I should say, we have these black preachers who were mocking the shit out of this guy Kirk in front of their minions. They're not parishioners. They're not Jesus lovers. They're not God lovers. These are people who are just plain old sick. And they have no sympathy whatsoever. I don't know what has to happen for all white people, to understand this. I don't know what wall has to fall on you. I don't know how many times people, your relatives or friends, have to get robbed or stabbed or raped or killed. I don't know how. I don't know when the limit is. But these people hate us. They hate you. They don't respect you. They don't consider you one of them. They don't want you anywhere near them. They want to be in your neighborhoods. because they want to take advantage of the schools and they want to take advantage of all the accessories that beautiful white neighborhoods have. But they don't care about you at all. And when you die, they mock it. And this is a preacher here. What the hell was his name? I think it was John Wesley Howard, I believe his name is, or Wesley John Howard. And this is in front of his parishioners on Sunday, and he talks about Kirk, and of course, he brings up racism, and he brings up, how we're beautifying this guy, and how we can't forget that all the wrong things that Charlie Kirk said. Now, again, I didn't agree with a lot of that Charlie Kirk said. I thought he was way too weak. And he's an evangelical, and those Christians are Diet Coke Christians. They're not, the only Christian there is Catholicism. That's it. That's what Jesus's church. All this other shit is crazy. It's just garbage. And these blacks are part of that. These are Baptists. They're Pentecostals, whatever the fuck they are. They're all part of the same garbage. And these preachers, they're so hypocritical because they praise the Lord and they praise Jesus and this and that, but they ask you for money, and these blacks who don't have a pot to piss in will give their last dime to these guys so they can fly around in $30 million jets, and they can bang their parishioners, and they can drive Mercedes Benzes, and they can wear the beautiful suits, and they do it all in the name of the gospel, and black people fall for it. Of course they fall for it. They fall for anything. We're not talking about the sharpest knives in the drawer here. But anyway, let's listen to this crazy fruitcake here talk about the late Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated. But I'm overwhelmed seeing the flags of the United States of America at half-staff calling this nation to honor and venerate a man who was an unapologetic racist and spent all of his life sowing seeds of division and hate into this land. And hearing people with selective rage who were mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't give a damn about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were shot down in their home, tell me I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who had no respect for my own life. I am sorry, but there's nowhere in Bible where we are taught to honor evil. And how you die does not redeem how you lived. You do not become a hero in your death when you are a weapon of the enemy in your life. I can abhor the violence that took your life, but I don't have to celebrate how you chose to live. I am overwhelmed.
So there you have it. This guy isn't even under the ground yet, and he's been called evil, racist. He's abhorring. It's funny. This preacher here, I wonder, when he said that your death doesn't cancel what you did in your life, I wonder if that was the same sentiment he had for George Floyd. Charlie Kirk was probably the most boring guy on the planet. Probably didn't smoke, drink, party, didn't do any of that shit because he thought that Jesus would be frowning on it. There was nothing evil about this guy. He was a Jesus freak. Now, again, I don't know for certain. Who knows if old Charlie had furry parties. We don't know that. We're going to assume it because none of it's come out yet. But we knew about old George. We knew that he was a career criminal. We knew that he put a gun to a pregnant woman's belly. We knew that he was passing around fake bills. And the day he overdosed, we knew he was high up on fentanyl. Old George wasn't a saint. But George got the gold casket. George had politicians falling to one knee. George had murals all over the place. George created almost a reactionary revolution. Statues were taken down. Sports teams were renamed. All because of St. George Floyd. But Charlie Kirk, who was just a 31-year-old guy, gets married, has kids in that order, was unashamed Jesus freak. He's the evil one. He's the racist. He's the bad seed. Are you starting to get it now? To all of you who keep saying that, well, blacks are just like us. They're people. People are people. No. This. If you don't get it by this point, you'll never get it, and you'll deserve what is coming. And let me tell you, I don't wish this on anybody, but it's always the people who don't have their head on a swivel. It's always the people who were just like that poor Ukrainian girl who just don't know any better that end up carjacked, mugged, raped, stabbed, shot, beat up, killed. The racist, the guy like me, and you can call me a racist all you want, I don't care. The guy like me that is always on the defensive when I see these people around me, nothing ever happens to me. It's the person that isn't on the defensive because they look weak. They look like rabbits. A wolf doesn't get attacked. The rabbit does. And there's the difference. And white people are so scared of being called racist that they will be rabbits just so they won't have that title put on them by Black people, by Jewish people, by Hispanics, by Asians, by liberal white women. And until that day comes where white Christian heterosexual males in particular say, fuck it, I don't care anymore. You can call me whatever you want. It's over. I'm done with this. This will continue. The black churches are promoting the downfall of the white race. They're promoting it. They love to see white men fall. And this other preacher here, this one's a long one, but this guy was an animal. This guy, I believe, is the preacher in Houston with that ghetto bitch, Jasmine Crockett. This is her church. This guy's a winner too. And he's further evidence, because I know most of you are going to say, oh, it's only one preacher. Well, man, come on, there's a lot of black preachers out there. Well, I'm going to give you another guy. And then I'm going to give you a girl named Jamel Hill, who, and I'm going to apologize in advance. She looks absolutely hideous in the video I'm going to show you, but she was just as retarded and ignorant as these two preachers are. They're not preachers. These are shepherds of the devil. And you heard the cheering and the clapping and the jumping up and down. They love this. They want to see you and your children and anybody that you have in your family that's white dead. And for people who keep saying, oh, it's not all people. Let's remember the country. You can think all you want about that, but you are a target. You are a target big time. And it's high time that you realize that. It's high time that you realize that you are in big, big trouble. Let me see if I can get this guy's name here. He's another Jasmine Crockett's. They don't give his name. All right. Here's this moron.
Get your theology together, because the sad thing is we live in a nation where twisted, toxic theology is poisoning the politics of this nation. Have you thought about the fact that this week in Utah, a white Christian got killed by a white Christian? And then the next day, HBCUs were under threat. Now, how did we get in it? That's called white on white crime. You came the wrong Sunday if you thought you. I'm sorry. I see y'all are real sophisticated and you look really good. I hope they warned you about me, okay? Because on this Sunday, we gonna keep it 100. On this Sunday, we gonna tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And so here they are. Here they are. In Utah. It's more of us in church than in Utah. We ain't got nothing to do with what they just did. A white Christian gets killed, murdered, not assassinated. We're going to tell the whole truth today. Martin King got assassinated. Malcolm X got assassinated. Medgar X got assassinated. Don't compare Kirk to King. Ain't no such comparison. Now, let me hasten to say, I'm anti-political violence. Kirk should still be alive. I don't agree with the time with anything Kirk said. What Kirk said was dangerous. What Kirk said was racist, rooted in white supremacy, nasty, and hate-filled. But he still should be alive. He still should be playing with his kids. He still should be experiencing the love with his wife. He still should be experiencing life as he saw it. I don't want anybody, please hear me well, anybody to be victimized by political violence, but I'm going to keep it above. Because one of the things that gets me, and we got some politicians in here, I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to come for you if you ever say this. If you ever say, America, we better than this. You lying. You lying. We ain't better than this. America was born in political violence. America committed political violence during the slave trade. America committed political violence when black bodies hung as strange fruit on southern trees. America committed political violence against the Irish, against the Italians before they became white. America committed political violence when America passed Jim and Jane Crow laws. What do you think political violence was? Political violence when they bombed and massacred Black Wall Street, when they massacred Rosewood, when they massacred whites and blacks in Wilmington, North Carolina. Well, what do you think political violence is? Martin being killed, that's political violence. John Kennedy being killed, political violence. Robert Kennedy being killed, political violence. And you gonna say we better than this? No, you can't fix what you won't face until you look in the mirror and say this is a violent country that has done violence to too many people. We will never get our act together. It's time to repent, because if my people called by my name humble themselves and pray, turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal the land. Come on, we better than this. No, we ain't. We ain't better than this. We ain't better than this. But to get better, you got to acknowledge what's wrong.
So you have to acknowledge what's wrong. Is he talking about the black-on-black crime in Chicago, Detroit, New York, Los Angeles, Gary, Indiana, Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee? Is he talking about that crime? Or is he just talking about this one incident that happened last week? See, they don't talk about that. It's never black people's fault. It's always whitey. It's always white supremacy. It's always racism. It's always something other than the problem that's in their own backyard. Now, listen, I find a lot of what these people say as being funny. They act like buffoons on stage. This is not Christianity. This has nothing to do with Jesus. This has nothing to do with God. You would never see a Catholic priest jump around like some jumping bean on stage. This is a performance. This isn't a sermon. There's no sacraments here. And you hear the screaming and the jeering because that's what these people do. There's no sense being made here. There's no love in this church. There's no holiness in this church. This is out and out hatred. And that's fine. If they hate us, that's fine, as long as we acknowledge it and we not put up with it anymore. The problem is that we keep denying this, that they hate us. We keep denying that they don't want to see us alive. And we keep denying that we're different. We don't share their values. They don't have any. We have Western civilization. We have Western culture, the greatest gift ever given to humankind. They are profiting off that. And they're sick, and they just can't handle living in a white man's world. They just can't. This is not Christianity because black people can't be Christians. Christianity, and Catholicism more specifically, is a white cultured religion. They just adapted it. Like the Mexicans adapted it from the Spanish, all of South America adopted it from the Spanish and the Portuguese. These people adapted it in the South. And they've falsely lived their life, what they think they lived their life through Jesus. And it's just not true. This is not how I've been to different denominations of churches. The only one that really counts, the only one that matters, is the Catholic Church, of course. But the other churches, I mean, they're singing and they're talking in tongues and they're jumping around like this guy. There's nothing holy about that. It's bombastic. It's like watching a comedy show. That's what it is. It's more entertainment than anything else. This guy's sweating up there, looking like he's going to die. That is not a house of God. That is a theater of the absurd, a theater of the insane. And speaking of insane, here we have an old buddy of ours, Jamel Hill. And I have to say, I think I already warned you. Look at the face on this woman. Look at that forehead. You could put 2 billboards on that forehead. She is as ugly of a person that you'll ever see. And they put her on, and there is no way. If you're a woman, right? If you're anybody, if you're going on TV, try to look presentable. What is she doing? She's got sneakers in the background, empty boxes. Like, what the fuck? She has no makeup on, hair's not done. I mean, look presentable. I mean, this is just putrid. And I hate to do this to you, but what she says is just outrageously outlandish too. And I just wanted to give you more than one or two examples of how these people think of us. Because they're not talking about Charlie Kirk. He's just a lightning rod. They're talking about all white people. And let's get
labeled a white supremacist is because he believed in the superiority of white people, which is why he said that he would be concerned if he saw a black pilot, which is why he said that he questioned the brain processing of brilliant minds such as Joy Ann Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson, because he ultimately believed in the superiority of white people. So I don't think I'm being insensitive by bringing that up. And the only reason I feel like I even need to bring that up is because of the counter narrative that is establishing itself. And that's the problem with history and the problem with receipts is that you can't erase the receipts. You can't, I learned this a long time ago, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before, is that people don't remember what you do, although a lot of times they do, but more importantly, they remember how you made them feel. And Charlie Kirk, with his words and with his influence, he made a lot of people who were not straight white Christian men feel less than human, feel less than qualified, feel a lot of less thans. That's how he made them feel. And that was his entire purpose. So we have room in our big old brains for multiple thoughts, for being upset and angry about what happened to Charlie Kirk, because it says a lot about our political discourse in this moment, but also being reflective enough to surface what also made him somebody whose influence was dangerous in a lot of respect and contributed to the political atmosphere in which we're living now. And before before I sort of move on to a few other things that were on my mind as I thought about this entire tragic incident, I'm tired of white supremacist beliefs being considered a difference of opinion. I'm really sick of that. You know what's the difference of opinion? Is if you like DC and I like Marvel. That's a difference of opinion. If you say Drake is the greatest rapper of all time and I think it's Jay-Z, that's a difference of opinion. What's not considered a difference of opinion? If you think black people are inherently inferior to white people, and I think the opposite, that is not a difference of opinion. That is you being a racist. And we have, unfortunately, put matters of humanity in the bucket of politics where it does not belong. See, it's not political to say that black people are unqualified and inherently criminal. That is not a political belief. That is a white supremacist belief. Because you're ascribing a pathology to a people, to a construct of race, which is made up, by the way, and made up for the entire and sole purpose of being able to establish who's on top and who's on bottom. But that's a history lesson for another day. But if you don't believe that I am as human as you, that I deserve respect and dignity just because I'm here, that's not a difference of opinion, and we ain't got shit else to talk about. So this idea that Charlie Kirk, what it boiled down to with him was differing beliefs. It didn't boil down to that. It boiled down to the fact that he out loud and made a living off questioning the humanity and dignity and respect of others. That is how he made his living. And we can lie about it, but that's the truth. And he's not the only one that's making that living. So this is not a problem that started or was created by Charlie Kirk. This is part of our political ecosystem. Is that, yeah, people are able to make money off indignity. And so.
All right, I'm not going to subject you to any more of her nonsense. But, okay, listen, if I'm walking on a plane, if I'm getting on a plane, I see that cockpit filled with black guys, I'm probably going to wait for another plane. I'll wait the 8-hour delay. I'm not taking the chance. And Kirk, again, I saw a lot of his interviews. I saw a lot of his speeches. Everything this woman just described never happened. He did say the whole thing of DEI about the pilots, and he did question the nurturing and the nature of black intelligence, but who wouldn't? I mean, the whole reason why we have DEI in the first place is because blacks aren't capable of keeping up with whites and Asians. And it's not just black people, it's Hispanics too. And it's Muslims. It's not just the blacks, but this is the issue today. It's always about race and it's always about them, and they always have to have they always have to make a contribution to the absurd. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about today, and this might be a little bit controversial, is the beautification of Charlie Kirk. Many years ago, when, what was this, 2021, which seems so far away, when this George Floyd vermin was overdosing in front of the world, and people thought he died because some guy had his knee on his neck. They turned him into a saint, as I said. Jamel Hill turned him into a saint. Those two preacher morons that we've put on before, they probably made him a saint. And cities burned all over the country. Trump allowed it. We had these zones in Portland and various other towns where they were ruled by these warlord type guys. It was incredible to see. You never thought you'd see it, but we did. And the media and the Democrat Party made George Floyd out to be this martyr. He was their Jesus. And of course, it was ridiculous because this guy was a fucking criminal. But I have to say today, in disappointment, that the right, conservatives, libertarians, and the religious Christian Zionists, they're doing the same with Charlie Kirk. They're making him out to be a saint, even though they don't believe in saints. They're making him out to be something that he absolutely wasn't. This iconic, culture-changing figure. He wasn't. He wasn't even close. He was bought and paid for by Israel. We all know this. This is not a secret. And we can argue that, he was a bit of a coward because he refused to debate Nick Fuentes on multiple occasions. And if you look at an interview he had with Douglas, Douglas MacArthur or Douglas McMurray, he was a colonel. This happened about a year or two ago. He looked like an amateur. He got the floor wiped with him. I mean, it was sad to watch. And he wouldn't have the colonel on again because the colonel's stance on Israel was with Israel doing it wrong. They October 7th was a stand down operation. They knew it was happening. They let it happen anyway, just so they can go into Gaza. And of course, Charlie disagreed with him because he loves Jews more than he loves Christians or more than he loves America. So Charlie was a nice guy. He's probably a very sweet guy. But he was too weak to understand where the world is going and what's going on in the Middle East, in Europe. And he also said things that, like this broad says here, people are going to bring that stuff up, the receipts. The first thing that happened when he got shot was that quote that he made about, well, you got to sacrifice some people to protect the Second Amendment. Well, you were one of them. And it happened right in front of your kids. And a lot of the things he said, I think, were taken out of context. I mean, he's been accused of calling somebody a chink, which he didn't call anybody a chink. He was talking to that guy from the Young Turks, Czech, Jank, whatever his name is. He's another buffoon. But there are so many things that are coming out now that they're trying to prove that he's a racist and that he's this and that. Charlie Kirk was a moderate, milquetoast, rhino, Jesus freak. That's all he was. He had a podcast. He had this channel that was created through his father's money and influence. This guy was not a grassroots guy. His father built Trump Plaza. Okay, his father was an architect, made millions of dollars, and he had influence within he had connections and networking within the Republican Party, and he helped his son in there. This was not some savant. We're not talking about Voltaire here. We're not talking about some genius politician like Garibaldi, some revolutionary who's going to change the world. Charlie was a lot of things, but he was not that. Good family man, we think. Good dad, yeah. Lived his life through Jesus, yes. Had a moderate conservative attitude, yes. Trailblazing world changer, come on. No fucking way. So the Charlie fatigue is starting to hit me. I don't know if it's going to start to hit you. That might be insensitive to say. But yeah, I've kind of had enough of this. Let's just bury this guy and move on and get to what's really important. Europe has to adjust first. When they adjust, that wave will cross the Atlantic and hit us. And if you want to thank Charlie and have him be the poster boy for it, great, as long as it happens. I don't think it will, because white people, again, like I said, once football season starts rolling, everybody's going to forget about this. All right. Well, there's my 2 cents, as insensitive as it was. Thank you again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Be careful out there, my friends. As you can see, the face of Satan is right there, right there, right there. Be a man. Have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And remember, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. You got, again, another example of that. These 3 morons. We'll see you later.